what would D. Fox say?
I would say he staved off the end of their season.
Okay.
He didn't save it. I don't think this team is very good. That was an impressive fourth quarter comeback from the Cowboys, which was nice. But I think this team has a lot more issues, and they're going to get beaten by a bunch of the teams, especially coming up on this schedule.
Well, so you weren't that impressed, and neither was Dan Orlovsky. He was here yesterday. I asked him if he was impressed with that win over Pittsburgh. Here's what Danny said.
Not impressed at all. This is bad offense for Dallas, bailed out by bad offense for Pittsburgh. 3 turnovers, 2 of them took points off the board. They avoid catastrophe, I'll give you that, but this is not an impressive win by the Dallas Cowboys.
So Dan is high. Monday Dan is back.
He's back.
We used to love some Monday Dan. He's tried to hone it in. He couldn't hold himself. How is it not impressive? You lose your 2 top ends that aren't going to play. You go to Pittsburgh. You're the most physical team by far on the field. It should not have been nearly as close as the score indicated. That is as impressive as it gets to go beat Pittsburgh in a primetime game. To not call that impressive is ridiculous.
Losing 2 top defensive linemen. They lost a 3rd one early in the game. Their left tackle went out in the first half with an injury. They don't have Brandon Cooks. I guess, is their number 2 receiver. Yeah, it's an impressive win. There's no question about it. What Dak saved them from, though, is the trouble he put them in, right? Because there were turnovers early in that game. You're right. They could have won it by more. But, coming back in that place. I was there. I was at that game. It ended a half hour ago. And it was impressive.
Here's the thing. As the morning went on, I think Dan Orlovsky yesterday sort of clarified what he meant. It was less about it not being an impressive win, right, which, of course, every win is impressive on the road, at Pittsburgh, all that. As it was really more, I'm not that impressed with the Cowboys.
Oh,
meaning,
yeah, I got you.
I really don't think they're that good, which I think a lot of people do agree with. I think Dan was trying to say, they don't look that good to me. They won the game, but they don't look that good to me. And I think that's if one were to say that, what would D. Fox say?
Yeah, I would agree with Dan, but I mean, you don't got to clarify for Dan. He's a professional communicator. The man said what he meant. He said what he meant. He's a pro. He gets paid to communicate. I love it. That man communicated something, and it was wrong. And we all sometimes say stuff that's wrong. We get roasted. We don't need Greeny to come up and say, "Hey, but what I think he meant." Nah,
he sets us so well. He sets us so well.
Okay, well, here's the question then.
Yeah.
And I defend my guys. You guys are good enough to come on here all the time. I'm going to defend you. Here's my question. If you're not buying Washington, who are you buying in that division? Is it Dallas?
Eagles probably for me. Eagles for me are I would buy them. I think their roster is better overall. Can they put it together with Sirianni and Hurts and all the stuff that and I know they were off. That's going to be the issue for me. But that's
who has a better quarterback?
Between
Eagles
Hurts
or the Commanders?
Oh, the Commanders. Commanders. Yeah, I mean, look,
he ended the question there.
You could
want to say.
I'm going to say this. You could almost say that about 28 teams.
That's why I'm saying they're going to win.
Really good.
Yeah. So the other questions that I think Jeff could have asked you is like, who has a better offensive line, who has more talent, who has more experience, who has more success. But I would say I would still stick with Washington in part because as much as I love all the talent that the Eagles have, there's been a long stretch where they have not been good. Well. And this is like similar to the Kansas City conversation that we had earlier. It's like, I don't want to get captured by what we know in the past. When we look at this team now, this Eagles team has not been good. Right. And Washington team has been getting better through the course of this season, and I think they will continue to do so.
So I guess really what I'm trying to say here is we had Zach Ertz on the countdown cam. You know, we talked to these guys walking into the stadium. You listen to the way he's talking about Jaden Daniels. You listen to the way that team talks about each other. Yeah. There's something good going on there. All right, we're back on Get Up here, and we head to Pittsburgh. Justin Fields and the Steelers coming off a loss to Dallas had only 226 yards of offense on the season. Fields has accounted for 8 touchdowns against 2 turnovers, but the offense is ranked 26th in scoring. Here was Shefty on the Steelers' ongoing quarterback
Russ
conundrum.
Stoll's been getting healthier and healthier, and I think he's now at the point where he is healthy enough to play. So that's going to be a Mike Tomlin decision. I think at some point in time here, it's not going to surprise me if they turn to Russell Wilson. I don't know whether that's next week or the week after.
So isn't that interesting? Graz, are we waiting for a shoe to drop at quarterback in Pittsburgh? I will remind everyone you were with that team this weekend.
Yeah, I didn't get the sense that they're looking to do that. I mean, look, we're going to hear from Mike Tomlin as we do every week. He'll talk today at noon Eastern, and I'm sure he'll address this. But my understanding has been that they've been happy with the way Fields has played, and that given their other issues on offense, right, that the lack of wide receiver depth, they're down 2 key running backs the other night. That, like, the idea that Fields can run around and do things that help the offense that probably at this point in his career Russell Wilson can't do, I think that works in his favor as well. So I would actually be surprised if they turn to Russell Wilson absent an injury to Justin Fields. But if he is getting healthy enough to play, it's definitely time to figure something out.
Right.
Because I don't think he's going to want to hang out and be Justin's backup.
Well, that was the sense that I got. If you watched the telecast of the game the other night, you sort of got the sense that that was what we were saying. Not necessarily the time has come for Justin Fields to be benched.
Right.
But the time has come for a decision to be made. Mike Tomlin has been able to play both sides against the middle here. But, I mean, is Russell Wilson really so hurt that he can't play? If he isn't, then the decision has to get made one way or the other. Either Fields has replaced him or Wilson goes on the field.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think the answer is Fields has replaced him. There's no reason to go to Russell Wilson right now because he doesn't have any upside that Justin Fields doesn't have. If Justin Fields was atrocious up until this point, then I'd understand making that move. He hasn't been great, but he hasn't been a major problem. And I don't see, given what we've seen from Russell in recent history, a reason to believe that he's going to come in and give this team a better chance to win. You keep sticking with Justin Fields. He's younger, more physically talented, and try to continue to build on what he's done so far.
I'm going to play devil's advocate just a little bit. I like what Fields has done. I think he is progressing. I think Arthur Smith likes him a lot. The thing that I keep hearing out of Pittsburgh is, well, he's not turning it over. Okay, that's a step. But at some point, we're going to have to be aggressive down the field. Dallas showed you the defense that got run on by everybody, showed you the key to how to stop it. And right now, the problem is we can't push the ball down the field. That's a problem. So if you feel like Russell Wilson would give you a better position or chance to push the ball down the field, whether you're risk averse or whatever you want to talk about, but either Arthur Smith and Justin Fields got to figure out, hey, how do we push the ball down the field? Because at some point, explosive plays matter in the NFL, and it can't just be dink and dunk because they don't have the receivers that you're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think the reason they're not pushing it down the field is because Justin Fields can't throw that ball. He can.
Right.
The question is who's going to catch it.
Yeah.
They have George Pickens as their top receiver, and he's been a guy that, he can make a big play, but he can also make a dumb one that costs you.
That's right.
And I think they need to. That's why they were in on Brandon Ayuk. I do believe they are in on Devontae Adams.
Ding, 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 ding.
I don't know if they can get him, but I think they're going to be aggressive to try and upgrade that wide receiver room.
And let me say this about Justin Fields. If you look at his entire career until obviously the debacle in Chicago, but even in Pittsburgh, he can throw a deep ball as well as anybody.
No question.
He's got touch. It's can you get the receivers out there to catch it?
All right, we'll have much more on Devontae and the Steelers as we continue.